Yo, what's up, guys? This is Max, Madaz, coming at you guys, of course, once again with another free YouTube video, free awesome content because you guys are totally awesome and I'm totally awesome. And now we get to be awesome together. So, pretty awesome week so far for me. Outside of trading, finally got the last of my Black Friday purchases, my cologne that I got, a pretty sweet deal off of Target. It was basically a buy one get one free situation. It was probably the best deal I've seen in a while. And then one of my car parts that I purchased over a year ago just randomly came in, so that was pretty sweet. I totally forgot about it actually, so that was pretty sweet. And on top of that, this week has been amazing in the market so far, all green days. And actually, I'm just completed my 31st consecutive green day, and that's still a personal best. My previous personal best was about 23 days or so. If I can check my logs later on, I can probably verify that. But 31 days, that's pretty awesome. That's about a month and a half of all green days, and I believe there's about nine trading days left in the year in 2015 here. And I just really ideally want to complete the entire month, cap off the year strong, the right way, and making an even 40 straight green days. Let's knock on wood. Let's not try to jinx anything, but that would be awesome in more ways than one, because that would set me up with the right positive reinforcement, with the right mindset to start off 2016 the same way that I plan to end 2015, which is completely in control and totally consistent with my trading. So that being said, going to go ahead and just talk about today really quick before we go on to the topic of today's video, and just talk about the trades on Sune, S-U-N-E, killer trade today. I made multiple tweets about this starting yesterday, and I pointed out on Twitter yesterday as it was going up during the last couple hours and then eventually faded, that the next day, 680s was a very reasonable target. And why is that? Because if you go to the daily chart, you can clearly see 680s, 685 right there was the bottom wick of this candle right there. And then pretty much if it didn't get rejected around 680, I was looking for 720s. So those are my short areas that I wanted to target for today. And today we got a pretty sweet gap up, and I was immediately looking at it for some sort of resistance at that level, and I took a chance on it. Went in 10,000 shares around 680 something. Posted my trade on Twitter, and I did cover it too early, but I did make $1,100 on the first trade. So I shorted around 680, covered it around 670. Got in a re-short on this wick right here. Pretty much top ticked it again, and also covered too early. If I held through all of this, could have ended up making potentially $9,000 or so. But you know what? I'm happy with my profits. Made $2,200 within the first 10-15 minutes, and that's pretty awesome for 10-15 minutes worth of work, no matter how you look at it. So I ended up just scalping it more and more later on, but obviously I didn't do 10,000 shares anymore. I was downsizing in order to protect my profits from the morning. Got it a couple more times, and ended up finishing with the total of $3,000 of profits on Sune. Pretty awesome, awesome totals for just one ticker. I did one short around here where it got rejected by the VWAP. I also tweeted this on Twitter. Also got a pretty near perfect entry, so my stop loss is basically just 1 cent, and I covered it around here around 610, 613ish. Did go all the way down to 608, but you know what? You're never always gonna get the perfect bottom, so I was pretty happy with that. I made about $800 or so on that trade. So other than that, VRX did chop me up late in the day. Got a couple bucks off of UVXY off of that crazy action toward the end, and it was overall a pretty solid day, finishing up with about $2,400. So hopefully tomorrow we get more of the same. Try to finish off this week right, and carry over this momentum into next week. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and talk about today's video, and this is actually live footage that I recorded from yesterday. Do apologize that I didn't get a chance to put this video out yesterday as I planned to initially, but life happens. So today I have time, so I'm going to go ahead and make this video. I feel like it's a very, very important topic. It basically involves a stock that's pretty much trading in an obvious uptrend, and it's kind of grinding, sort of. And pretty much how do you know when to change from a long bias to a short bias if the stock's going in an uptrend, and then trying to see when the downtrend starts and when you start to look to short pops as opposed to buy dips, basically. And I feel like a lot of people have trouble doing this, and this also applies to the reverse trend as well. If the stock's going down and you try to catch to see when the downtrend ends and the long trend starts, the uptrend starts. So in this case, we're gonna go talk about VRX and how it traded on December the 16th, which was yesterday. And pretty much we're gonna go talk about how it switched from an uptrend into a downtrend and how we can figure that out, and how can we start to look to short pops as opposed to just keep buying dips for the long side. How do we know that? Okay. And I've seen a lot of people, they try to guess the top and then they keep getting ripped on. And this video is pretty much made for people like that don't exactly know when to switch their biases, and they starting their shorts too early and they get squeezed. So I'm gonna really quickly talk about this part of the chart right here. So a lot of people would sometimes incorrectly misidentify this action right here as kind of like a double top action. Yes, it is a hard rejection here around 120, very stiff resistance, and it's not able to sustain any buying pressure above this 119.87 high. However, this stock has made a move from 111s, mid 111s, so basically almost 120 in a pretty obvious uptrend, and it's still consolidating near the highs within about $1.30 of the highs. So it's pretty much consolidating near the very, very top end of the range. And how many times have you seen a stock that has this kind of chart formation and it ends up collecting a bunch of shorts and trapping them all, and it ends up squeezing higher? So definitely that was the risk that you would take if you were to attempt to short around here. Now, in the end, it did work out. However, like I said, there are several different instances that I've seen in the past where it would just consolidate near the top and it would just keep ripping. So in order to prevent that kind of scenario from happening, you need to wait for the confirmation of the downtrend. Okay, so in this case, I wanted to see VRX basically break below this 118.4 level and stay below it before I start changing my bias from long to short, because theoretically speaking, it could just still hold this 118.4 level, collect a bunch of shorts, trap them, and then rip to 120, 121, 122. Okay, so you don't want to be in this situation, because this is kind of like no man's land. This is a situation where there's a lot of uncertainty. It's still technically consolidating near the highs, and you just don't know whether or not this is going to hold as support or not. So your best bet is to wait for it to crack, wait for it to form a lower high, confirmation of the backside, and that's when you have a very high percentage trade. So I'm going to go ahead and show the live footage that I recorded so you guys can get a good view of what I'm talking about with the live action. So let's go ahead and close this. So this is an hour and 40 minutes long, and I'm gonna go ahead and play it at 4 times the speed, because as you saw on that chart, it basically just went sideways for a very extended period of time. So the whole point is I want to show you guys how to utilize both the chart as well as the level 2 to start to switch your bias from long to short in this instance, and then subsequently look to short pops using the level 2 tape reading as well as a lower high chart formation. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. So this is currently at 4 times the speed, so it's going 4 times as fast. So right now, VRX just made a new high of day, 119.82. So it's in a pretty obvious uptrend still. I do apologize with the slight glitches occasionally on the video. I guess it's the rendering once in a while when the video is playing at 4 times the speed. There's occasional glitches. But nonetheless, it's still viewable, and you guys can see what's going on. So right now, VRX still in an uptrend above 119. Definitely not a short here. And a little bit later in the video, you'll see me draw an uptrend line to make it more evident that this thing is still in an uptrend. So the first thing that I'll be looking for is once after I draw my uptrend line, I'm going to look for, the first thing that I'll look for is the trend to start to break. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start to look to see when the uptrend starts to break. Now that doesn't mean that's a short yet. You still need to see a support break and lower highs, and pretty much after the support cracks, you want to see the previous support act as resistance. Okay, so right now it's still holding the uptrend and flirting with new highs, so we're still going to leave it alone right here. Still going to maintain our long bias on VRX for now. There you go. So now I'm drawing my trend line, and you'll see. So I'm looking for that trend to break. That's the first thing that I'm going to be looking for as a first signal of weakness from the buyers, and some sign that the sellers are starting to turn the tables a little bit. They haven't won the battle yet. You still need to see a support break with conviction and a lower high. So right now, even though that trend it's kind of looking like it's going to fail, you still cannot short this because it could still technically hold that green support line that you see right there and keep ripping to 120s and beyond. But we've already identified, if you did your analysis, VRX 120 level is very, very important, and there's a lot of resistance around there, as indicated by the green line that I already have previously drawn. So everyone is already anticipating that 120 should be coming into play here. So that could result in a fade. However, market makers can also utilize this fact and take advantage of it to squeeze a bunch of shorts that think that 120 is going to be the top. So you still cannot take a gamble on it. You don't know what's going to happen yet. So you still got to wait. You got to exercise patience. You can't just jump in using just one or two signals. You got to see pretty much flashing signals all across the board that's pretty much screaming in your face that this thing is obviously becoming a short instead of remaining a long. So right now, although it's still looking like it's cracking a little bit, it's still holding that support level, and it's pretty much a no trade for us. At this point in the day, MBLY got hit with the Citron tweet, and that's why you see me doing some really quick analysis on it, but I ended up not trading it. I'm going to try to speed things up a little bit more. Unless this glitches the video, then I'll put it back to 4 times. Yeah, I think it's getting a little bit too glitchy here. Let's try 4.5. So you see VRX here still flirting with those highs. Still a no trade. We're still looking at a long bias. It actually just made a new high of day there by a couple cents. 119.87. Still seeing that 120 level acting as resistance, but again, like I said, waiting for confirmation. It could still just trap shorts by keeping the stock in a very tight range for an extended period of time to collect all of those people that are thinking that 120 is going to be the top and then squeeze them out. So we still can't reasonably take a short there without exposing ourselves to too much risk. So, like I said, still waiting extremely patiently for that support level, which is around 118.4-ish to crack. 118.5-ish. So we need that crack, and then we need that reject of that same level to confirm the downside action. Again, another failed attempt to break out of that 120 level, fading into the 118s, but as you can see, it's still propping the bids back to 119s every time it looks like it wants to tank. So it's still holding up. Need to see that crack, a very clean crack. Look at that, bids back above 119 after that attempted move into the 118s. So it's still hanging around, so you still can't short this. Look at that, back into the 119.20s and 119.30s. So anyone that tried to chase that attempted move back into the 118s, now you're down pretty much a quick 70, 80 cents or so. And I mean, like I said, if you're chasing this move, you're putting yourself at risk to this thing ripping on you to new highs. Because although this, in the end, this example, VRX did eventually fade, there are many instances where it just consolidated near the highs just like this in a very tight range. And what happens? They collect all the shorts, trap all of them, and then rip it to new highs. So you got to be patient, wait for the right setup, and it will come easy to you after. And you'll see when I make a scalp trade on this after the downtrend has started, that was pretty simple to make a easy couple bucks in a matter of minutes on the short side. No point in putting yourself in a headache scalping the moves here, putting yourself at risk needlessly. So another attempted crack here. Still holding up in around the 119s. Another reclaim at 119 level. You see that volume on that red candle on that another attempted 118 crack. Suckered in a couple people there trying to chase that move thinking it was going to be the tank. And they prop it right back to 119s. And another reason why I'm showing all this sideways action is to really illustrate how much patience you really have to have. And this is why I always stress around this time, which is lunch hour, 12 o'clock Eastern. This is lunchtime in New York. Things start to slow down a little bit. And if you really have trouble forcing trades, step away from the computer. Go do something else. Get your mind off of stocks. Get your mind off of trading. Go take a nap. Go work out. Go make yourself some lunch, breakfast, wherever, depending on what time zone you're in. Go do something else. Get your mind off of trading so that way you don't sit there and you don't get anxious and you don't start just clicking buttons just because you feel like it. So that's another reason why I'm putting you guys through this entire sideways trading action. And pretty much this stock VRX has been trading sideways for a good hour plus now at this point. So I'm pretty much just waiting patiently. You see me not really executing any trades on it at all for over an hour to show you how much patience and discipline I had to exercise to wait for the next move, to wait for the next easy, good risk-reward ratio trade. So VRX looking a little bit weaker now, making a little bit of a lower high sort of, but still stuck in a $1-ish range. But looking like the sellers are keeping it down a little bit more. We got a little bit of a crack there going below. Down to 118.3s there briefly. So we definitely are seeing some sellers really starting to push the stock down a little bit more versus buyers keeping it up. But however, this still isn't a clean crack. It's still hanging around. We've got to see a fast yank to the downside and then a retest of that support level, which should be acting as resistance moving forward, and that's how you get the trade. As you can see, they yanked it and now they propped it back up another 40-50 cents just like that. So they're still screwing with people here. So that means to you to stay on your sidelines and not make any trades. As you can see, I'm still exercising that discipline, not making any trades at the moment. To me, this stock is still in no man's land. It still hasn't cleanly cracked anything yet. It hasn't stayed below the support level. It's still just hanging around, and it's pretty much still a no trade for me. Right, just like that, right back into the 119s. Anyone who chased that move thinking that it was going to go down, again, you just got ripped on. Almost $1 a share. And every time I stress this, I sound like a broken record. I keep saying it. If you're going to chase the stock, you better know what your risk is, and you better know how the market makers play their game. Because I've shown time and time again, example after example after example, that chasing can be pretty catastrophic, especially if you're playing with size. So manage your risk accordingly and know what can happen if you decide to make that kind of a trade. Chasing is always something that I have always advocated against. I always felt like it's a lose more than win kind of scenario, and I don't take it. Poor risk reward setup, and you don't want to put yourself in the hands of the market maker and have them pretty much screw you over and pretty much do whatever they want with you. So wait for the edge to come. Don't give your edge away to the market makers. So what I'm trying to say here, still VRX still stuck in this $1 give or take range. It can still technically consolidate here and sucker in shorts and rip to new highs. Definitely still a possibility in this little uncertain no man's land kind of range right here. Now at the same time, simultaneously, I would still be looking at a long if it were to break above 120 and hold 120s. Absolutely. So right now it's pretty much a no bias, sideways. Just wait for the next setup. Either a crack below 118.5s and it stays below there, or a break above 120 and it holds 120 moving forward for a move to 121s, 122s. But right now they're totally still just screwing around with people, pushing people around, just making sure that they're making their money as they have the edge right now. There's absolutely no edge for the retail trader at this moment. Stock has pretty much gone sideways for going on almost an hour and a half. Just whipsawing both people chasing the long and the short over and over again for an hour straight. This is pretty much lunch hour trading for you guys. So you got to see how the trading differs during the lunch hours, where the volume is lower, where the price action is a lot slower. You have to be even more so picky with your trades during this time of the day. And if you have trouble forcing trades into this chop, into this sideways action, you're better off just stepping away from the computer and not trading at all. When I was new to trading, I used to just sit at my desk all day for the entire day, trying to find a way to make money every single hour, trying to catch every single trade. And it comes with experience. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I've come to the conclusion that there's just some periods of the day where your edge just isn't there. It's just not, the edge isn't as evident, and it's a lot more difficult to find an edge if there is any at all. So it's in your best interest during those times of the day to just step away and wait for the next setup. And if you're worried about missing a trade, set alerts. I mean, DAS has a pretty solid alert system. TOS has a pretty solid alert system. Just have it play a very annoying sound when the stock hits a certain price, and then you just run back to your desk and try to make the trade. But right now, still no trade. Still stuck in this $1 range. Still waiting for that break. Got about 22 minutes or so left in this footage. Toward the end of this video, you'll see me make a scalp attempt, and it should be coming up. I mean, how boring would it be to just sit here all day for an hour and a half plus and just stare at this thing? I mean, it'd be difficult to not force trades. So, understandably, you just got to control yourself, exercise patience and discipline, and just wait. Or if you can't do it, just step away. So now we're seeing a little bit more of a crack. Let's see if we can flush 118s. As you can see, the next support level is around 117. So a fast crack of 118 to 117 would be ideal. And a 118-ish back test reject would be a nice reshort. So that's what I'm looking for. We need that crack, or there's still pretty much a no trade. But definitely seeing, based on the chart, that 120 level, very tough, and it's pretty much not even getting close. It's getting closer to cracking 118s than breaking 120 on the upside. So definitely the shorts or the sellers are winning this little tug of war battle, but they haven't completely taken over yet. But they are pushing it down ever so slightly. Got a 118 test here. See if those 118s hold up. Some remaining bids here at 118. See if they get whacked out. Some hidden sides there soaking up on the bids on 118. Let's see how much it can take. And there we go. For the first time, we see VRX now in the 117s. I'm going to slow down the footage slightly now to 2.5 times. So now what we're looking for is pretty much a VRX dip down toward the 117s, which we're marching toward right now. And any bounce toward the 118s, I'll take a scalp short. Need that reject to confirm it. Buyers unable to defend 118 there, unable to prop it back over 118. $117 test coming up. With that support crack, we can see that some of the buyers that are hoping for that 120 breakout, their hopes are fading as this stock is fading. So they're going to start realizing that this 120 break isn't going to happen. I think my scalp's coming up, so I'm going to slow this down a little bit more. So there we go. We have 117 tests there. A little bit of a bounce. I think I try to get in around here. There we go. So I got in 117.82, basically a $1 bounce off of that 117. Wanted to see a 118 reject, and you can see right there that the bids pretty much propped it up toward 118, and then the ass just came slamming it back down. So might have gotten a slightly better entry, maybe around 117.9s. But at 117.82, I mean, that's a pretty decent entry. And it would be a 118 stop out if it were to get over that. The target here would be a quick scalp back toward the 117s. So 500 shares, if it were to go back to 117, that's a pretty good gain. It's $400. So not too shabby. I'm looking for a fast move in the next couple minutes. Nothing too fancy. It's not really flushing. It's just kind of doing a little bit of a soft reject and grinding back down. So looking for a couple bucks, nothing too crazy, just to demonstrate to you guys why the stock has gone from a long bias to a short bias, and why the risk reward favors the short side trade here as opposed to buying the dip. So I've been in this position for a couple minutes, up about 100 something bucks. Again, looking for that 117 back test. Would stop out around 118. As you can see on the level 2, VRX struggling to get back to 118. Bids struggling to stay even over 117.5, 117.6, indicating that the sellers are kind of tightening their grip on this stock. See more ass down ticking. VRX unable to regain even 117.5s, and there's the cover. Covered in the 20s. I think at this point I thought it was just too slow for me. I wasn't comfortable holding any much longer. But I did end up covering there in the 20s from the 80s, 60 cents, 500 shares. That's pretty much about 300 bucks in what, just a couple minutes. Not too shabby at all, right? Just a quick scalp, just to illustrate why VRX became a short bias trade despite being a long bias trade the entire day. So pretty much, I believe after this, VRX eventually faded even more later on. So I did end up covering it a little bit too early, but I can't really complain about 300 bucks in a couple minutes, guys. Just to illustrate the point, hopefully you guys understand. Utilizing both the chart and the level 2, you can see the trend line break. And then you can see the lower highs, the double, triple top, what have you, and then the support crack, and then the failure to regain that prior support level that was holding for an hour and a half, now acting as resistance. Combining that with the level 2, seeing that the bids are unable to regain that 118 level on that 118 crack. Bids nowhere to be found. As you see, I did cover it a little bit too early. Could have had 117s, could have had the 400 bucks. But no big deal. I can't always get the bottom every single time. But you can see based on the level 2, the sellers just keep down ticking. The bids weren't there to absorb any of the sells. They couldn't prop it back up even above 117.5, let alone 118. So you can see that the sellers pretty much progressively over time took control, and they were winning this little tug-of-war battle. And that's how you can tell based on just a tape reading. Combine that with your chart analysis. That's how you determine when to switch from a long bias from a stock that's been pretty much uptrending the entire day to a short bias. All right, guys. So, as always, it's very difficult to guess the top. That's why I wanted to stress that you need to pretty much wait for the backside of the move and then short any pops. And that's when you have your edge. So, that being said, guys, if you guys have any questions, as always, you're more than welcome to tweet at me on Twitter. Any comments or suggestions for further videos or any questions, feel free to as well comment in the YouTube comments section below. But that being said, guys, well, thanks a lot for watching this video. And hopefully you guys found this to be very informative. And we'll see you guys next time.